I want to dedicate this session to talking about the relationship between yoga and Ayurveda. When we think about our primary dosha and our sub-dosha and how to balance them, it's important to remember the law of opposites. And what this means is that when we are seeking to balance our doshas, that we want to introduce practices, food practices, yoga practices, and other lifestyle things that are going to bring harmony. And so for a person of the Vata dosha in respect to yoga, a yoga practice that is very harmonizing to the nervous system is important. And so this would be a yoga practice that is smooth and flowing and gentle in nature. And then to harmonize Pitta dosha, which is fire and water, a yoga practice that is cooling in nature will bring harmony, and a yoga practice that is neither intense nor hot. And so especially for people of the Pitta dosha, I do not recommend doing Bikram yoga, which is the yoga that is performed in a room that is heated above 100 degrees. And then for a person of Kapha dosha, earth and water, a more invigorating and quicker yoga routine will bring balance. And this becomes incredibly tricky, and I do feel very passionate about educating people who practice yoga on the connection between yoga and Ayurveda. And this is because it is very common for us, and it's a similar situation with food. It's very common for us to gravitate toward food and yoga practices that are like us. So it may be the case that a person of the Vata dosha is going to seek out a very quick-paced yoga class that does not require them to sit still and be very present. It's going to be incredibly hard for a person of the Vata dosha to do these more still practices. And knowing that so many people have a Vata imbalance of the mind, meaning it is so common in our culture to just be going around and around in our mind with ruminations and to-dos and all of this, that in my quest to help people see this and pacify the Vata dosha, I teach a lot of restorative yoga classes. And I always know people with the Vata dosha imbalance, especially of the mind, when I have them in my restorative yoga classes, because they will come up and they'll say, I just could not quiet my mind during that. That was so hard. And really that practice it's an art form to practice quieting the mind and quieting the body. And that is going to be such a potent medicine and create such radiant health and longevity in the person of the Vata dosha, if they can become aware of that and then learn how to quell the monkey mind. Now, people of the Pitta dosha will just, in an ego sense, be drawn to doing a type of yoga that is hot and competitive and intense in nature. These are the people that, if the extreme twists class is advertised or deep back bends, this will be the Pitta person that will show up to these practices, because they want to do a practice that will perpetuate who they are. They're proud of who they are. And as a yoga teacher, I've noticed this in particular, that when I have people come to my classes, which are very almost sedating and harmonizing in nature, that the people of the Pitta dosha will just stare at me with searing eyes like, you're wasting my time. Why are you making me chill out here? And so that has been interesting for me to try and educate people of the Pitta dosha on why it's important to do a cooling and non-intense practice. And then for people of the Kapha dosha, Kaphas tend to be more sedentary in nature. And so a yoga practice that is more of the kind of moving from one posture to another is helpful. And actually back bends are the most helpful to people of the Kapha dosha than any other dosha, because when you do back bends, you stimulate adrenal activity. And Kapha people tend to have a deficiency of adrenal activity, and so giving them a little bit of an adrenal burst is helpful. And this has been incredibly tricky for me because I have such a hard time even getting people of the Kapha dosha to show up at my yoga classes. And another issue is that people, especially if they have a Kapha imbalance and they're overweight, that often comes with having joint issues. And so a very vigorous exercise routine for people of this dosha can cause injury or discomfort in the body. So it's a very sensitive issue, and I remember the first time that I learned the connection between yoga and Ayurveda, that there were people who were angry at the person who was teaching this, and were saying, well, that's just a bunch of hogwash and I don't believe that's true, and getting really intensely protective of their yoga practice. And nonetheless, I still feel that this is such an important piece of knowledge for yoga practitioners to have. And one of the most profound quotes from my Ayurveda training comes from my teacher, Pat Layton, who would say that our egos don't care if we live or if we die. All our egos want to do is perpetuate themselves. And I'll repeat that. Our egos do not care if we live or if we die. All our egos want to do is perpetuate themselves. And I feel very strongly about educating people about this, because if you are having lifestyle practices and yoga practices that are just perpetuating your ego, that's a sad thing to me, because it can ultimately result in injury and disorder and dis-ease of the body and mind and the spirit. And my agenda, as especially the yoga teacher aspect of what I do, is to help people have this self-awareness so that they can enjoy doing their yoga practice into their 90s. You do see some of these amazing people who are still doing their asana practice in their elderly years. And one of the difficult issues here is trying to educate people who are in their teens and their 20s about this, because it tends to be this time of life when we just think that we're indestructible and we can do anything with our bodies and our lives are going to be long and fine. And so when I do get younger people to come to my yoga classes, I hope that I can have some positive influence, because I would much rather see these people develop self-awareness in their youth and prevent accidents and injuries through yoga than have them come to me when they're 40 after they've already done the damage and then have to repair it. And so parents who are teaching their kids yoga, please learn about the Ayurvedic perspective on yoga and teach that to your children. It'll be a valuable piece of information that will benefit them throughout their life. And so just to summarize, Vatas need pacification of the nervous system in their yoga practice. Pittas, cooling, chilling out, non-competitive, and then Kaphas, more active and invigorating as their situation permits. And again, there's this whole refined art and science behind creating an ideal yoga practice for people. And I am still in pursuit of that understanding and refinement as a teacher, but my intention is there. And so please consider this seriously. I don't take these things lightly. I do feel like it's part of my calling in life to help people prevent problems. And as my yoga teacher trainer, Erin Giesemann, would say, err on the side of caution. And I have her peaceful, loving voice in my head saying that all the time, because I'm prone to ego-driven behaviors, just like the rest of us are. So anyway, I wish you many blessings upon embarking on a yoga program, and hope that all good and beneficial things unfold for you. Namaste. If you would like me to create a customized Radiant Living detox and rejuvenation program for you, please email or call to schedule an appointment. My email address is patricia.wickman@gmail.com, and my phone number is 715-529-3061. Please visit the Radiant Living website at www.rlyaa.com for more information and pricing.